Austin on it. Well, authorities in Cherokee County, North Carolina say they're investigating the discovery of human remains. They say a hiker in a wooded area near Burrow Mountain Road found a human skull that was back late last month. Now, additional searches were conducted in the following days, with the search on February 4th turning up additional human remains. The North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation says a forensic analysis determined those remains belonged to a 35-year-old man named Cameron Rondon. They added that he had not been reported missing to any law enforcement agencies. No cause to be determined. If you have any information about what could have led to Mr. Rondon, please contact the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. You don't even have to give your name.
All right. Peace and blessings, ladies and gentlemen. All praises to the Most High. This story right here is about 35-year-old Cameron Peter Rondon, who is of Caribbean descent and is a former soccer player who represented one of the Caribbean countries. As you heard in the article, late last month, he was found off of Burrow Mountain in Cherokee County, North Carolina. Now, Cherokee County it's in western North Carolina. Now, we all know the history of western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee. That's plagued our country since its inception. Now, what's strange about this case is the man was never reported missing, and they say remains. Other articles that I've read said that his skull was found first, and then a couple of days later, with the help of some students from the Western Carolina Anthropology Department, they were able to find some additional remains, and they did test and found it to be the remains of this young man. Now, he was never reported. Once again, the articles are very vague. They don't mention any connection that he has to the area. So it's definitely a situation that causes for speculation. Now, one of the social media posts I read, someone mentioned out there, brother, said, well, this is not the first time that some remains were found in North Carolina. She said, last year, a young man was found with a rope tied around his neck, tied to a tree, and they initially ruled it what they ruled it. So this case is somewhat similar because in this case, he was found in the woods, and he was not reported missing by anyone. Like, there's no family mentioned. There's no interview, as you saw with family. There's no did he get there? Once again, he is from the Caribbean, I think Jamaica or one of the islands over there. So there's nothing that says where he lived at. Was he visiting the area? Once again, I've been to Cherokee. I was at the recovery program out in Hendersonville, North Carolina, which is not too far. But, to be honest, there are not a lot of Black people out there in those little, they said, off Burrow Mountain. And if you remember, I told the story about one time I was visiting. I went up to the Devil's Courthouse, which is a mountain up in the western North Nation. But when we got halfway up that mountain on level ground, there was a motorcycle gang at a gas station. And when that motorcycle gang saw us, they turned their heads like they had seen two ghosts. It was me and a lady friend. And we passed them, and I saw the way they looked at us. I was like, yeah, it's time to turn around. So by the time we turned around, those guys who were standing around just talking, those guys were already on their bicycles. And I assumed that they were going to follow us further up the mountain. And so when we passed them, we kept going, and then I stopped at it was a little fountain, and I wanted to take some pictures at that fountain. And we went down, we took some pictures at the fountain, and before we was coming up, we heard the motorcycle gang coming up, and they passed us, and they looked at our car. And then when we got in the car, we started going back down the mountain. About halfway down, we saw a group of them standing in the middle of the road, and they were on the side of the road, but you had the mountain was curving, so we were coming straight at them. They were standing there, and I was like, please don't let these people mess with us. So we made it past that group. Then as we continued further down, they had split up. So there was another group of them at the other end of the mountain, and we made it past them without incident. And I was so grateful because I knew that they were monitoring us and seeing what we were doing up in that mountain. And once again, I was just going to sightsee. But I told an individual who was from that area about the story, and he said, "You lucky you made it off that mountain." He said, "You don't go up those mountains like that. They were literally following you. You're lucky you made it out." So when they are describing this person as a hiker, that's what they described him in one article on Mr. Rundon as a hiker. I can not discount the fact that maybe he hiked up one of those mountains and ran across one of the people who dwell up in there, and cuts and dips and inside trays of that mountain. Like you can look up in the mountain, you can see a house built up in the mountain, and you're wondering how did they get there. But when you're going up the mountain, you see all types of roads and side roads. So there's definitely a different community up in those mountains. Need to say all of the motorcyclists were white, and me and my lady friend were black. So this is a situation that happened last month when they found the remains. So we are now just hearing about this story, and they're asking anybody who knows any whereabouts or anybody that had connection to him. But I assume, why would he be there? There's no explanation. Did he live in the area? Did he have a girlfriend in the area? Was there a tournament in the area? Was he visiting the what is that, the Harris Casino up in Cherokee? Like, there's no explanation of what this man or this man's connection to the area, which is even more strange. So this is a situation that, like I said, the other lady compared it. It was found in a town known for those types of things. So we're going to keep an eye on this situation. Prayers and condolences goes out to the family of Mr. Rundon. If you get, if anybody out there, once again, that's in Western North Carolina. I live in Eastern North Carolina, but North Carolina is a state that has a deep history of those types of acts too. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this this story in the comments. Very vague, not a lot of information, just the basics. This guy was a former soccer player. He was found. His skull was found first, then other remains. So names. This it's all types of questions. More questions than we have answers at this point. But nevertheless, we offer prayers and condolences to the man family. Once again, you know the number, 919-587-7782. Y'all let me know what y'all